Hello class, we're about to start the competency test review for integers. Now, we look here, it says remember that no calculators will be used. You will be required to show work on all problems in order to get credit. Okay, number one, it says use less than, greater than, or equal to make a true sentence. Now we have negative 12 and positive 12. As we said before, all positive numbers are always greater than the negative numbers. So remember, our inequality always points to the lower number. So this is negative 12 is less than 12. Now we come here to B. We have negative 5 and negative 9. Now remember, when you're dealing with two negative numbers, it's whichever one is closest to 0 is the highest. Negative 5 is closer to 0 than negative 9. So we have the arrow point to the negative 9. So negative 5 is greater than negative 9. Now we go here to number 2. It says graph on a number line. Now I would tell you on the exam you will have a number line provided, but let's just draw a quick number line here. Just put 0 in the middle, and positive 3 we know is to the right of 0. So we will put our point right here on the line where the 3 is, as if it'll let me. Now the point is on the line, so that is our graph of 3. Now we go here to the negative 5. Put 0 in the middle, and we know negative 5 is to the left of 0. And then we put our point on the line to signify that this is negative 5. Okay, now number 3. We have negative 17 minus 9. Now remember, when we have a negative minus another number, this is the same as saying negative 17 plus negative 9, which you learned in a previous lesson. So negative 17 plus a negative 9 will give us a negative 26 because they have the same sign. So we add them together and carry the sign, and that is negative 26. Now we come here to number 4. We have negative 5 minus a negative 12. Now what we would do here, we know this minus sign will mean the opposite of negative 12. So this is really negative 5 plus 12. Now we know whenever we have two different signs and we're adding them together, that we would do regular subtraction. We know 12 and 5, when you subtract them, will give us 7. Now we look for the sign of the higher number or the higher absolute value. Now we know 12 is higher than 5. I'm saying right now, let's disregard the signs. If there was no signs here, we know 12 would be higher than 5. So we would keep the sign of the 12, which would be positive. So now we go down here to number 5. We have negative 7 times negative 11. A negative times a negative is a positive. So we know our final answer is going to be positive. So we could just take 11 times 7. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 7 is 7. So our final answer here is 77. Now we come here to number 6. We had 21 minus 30. Now we know this 21 is positive, but we had different signs here. So what I told you all before, when you had different signs and you're adding or subtracting, what you would do regular subtraction. We're going to act like this was 30 minus 21, and we know that would give us 9. But now we have to determine what sign the 9 should have. If we disregard these signs, 30 is larger than 21, and the sign in front of 30 is negative, so your final answer would be negative. Now, we scroll down here to number 7. We have a negative divided by a negative, which we know is positive. We have 228 divided by 4. So we would take 4 into 228. 4 goes into 2 0 times. 4 goes into 22 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. 22 minus 20 is 2. Bring down your 8. 4 goes into 28 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. And we add 0 for a remainder. So our final answer here would be positive 57. Now we look here at number 8, negative 7 plus 7. Now remember, whenever you add the opposites, it's always 0. Now we come down here to number 9. A positive times a negative. We know our final answer is going to be negative. But 4 times 6 is 24. So it'll be a negative 24. Now we go down here to number 10. We have a negative divided by a positive, which we know our final answer must be negative. So now we could go off to the side and take 9 into 387. 9 goes into 3 0 times. 9 goes into 38 4 times. 4 times 9 is 36. 38 minus 36 is 2. Bring down your 7. 9 goes into 27 3 times. 3 times 9 is 27. And you add 0 for a remainder. So your final answer is a negative 43. Now we scroll down here to number 11. It says calculate. Now, first thing here, we notice we have all multiplication. Okay, now what we need to do, since we have some negatives and positives, to determine if the answer is going to be positive or negative, we count how many negative signs we have. And if we have an odd amount, then we know our final answer is going to be negative. So we have 1, 2, 3 negative signs. So we know that our final answer is going to be negative. Because if it's an odd amount, it's negative. If it was an even amount of negatives, it'll be positive. Now we could do regular multiplication. 3 times 5 is 15, times 2 is 30, times 1 is 30. So it'll be a negative 30. Now we look here at problem number 12. We have calculate. It says negative 4 plus 10 minus 7 minus a negative 5. Now, if you notice here, we have different signs everywhere. We have negative and positive. We have addition and subtraction. So what I would suggest you do, since we have all addition and subtraction, I would suggest that we go with the order of operations. Now, remember, when you have all addition and subtraction, you go from left to right, whichever one comes first. So we have negative 4 plus 10. Now, we know negative 4 plus 10 will give us 6 minus 7 minus a negative 5. And the reason why it's positive 6 is we know we're going to subtract the 4 and the 10 because they have opposite sign, different signs. And we know 10 is the larger number, so we keep it positive. Now we can go from left to right here. 6 minus 7 is negative 1 minus a negative 5. Because again, we have positive 6 minus 7. These have opposite signs, so you know your answer is going to be a 1. Now, to determine if it's negative or positive, we know 7 is greater than 6, and the sign in front of 7 is negative. So that's how we get the negative 1. Now we add negative 1 minus a negative 5. This means the opposite of negative 5, so it'd be negative 1 plus 5. And we know we will subtract this. We know 5 and 1 subtracted will give us 4, and the sign of the 4 will be the sign of the 5, which is positive because 5 is greater than 1. So our final answer here is 4. Now we look here at problem 13. It says calculate. We still have just all addition and subtraction, so we'll start from left to right. We have negative 8 minus 3. They have the same sign, so you add them together and carry the sign. It'll be negative 11 plus 6 minus a negative 11 in parentheses minus 9. Negative 11 plus 6. We know 11 is larger than 6. So when we combine them, our answer is going to be negative. And we know when we do regular subtraction with 11 and 6, that will give us 5. So our answer here would be negative 5. And it's minus negative 11 minus 9. Now this is negative 5 minus negative 11. This would be opposite negative 11. So this would be negative 5 plus 11 minus 9. Now, negative 5 plus 11, we know we're going to subtract and get 6. But we look here, 11 is larger than 5, so this 6 will remain positive, and minus 9. Now, when we look here, we have 6 minus 9. This is a positive 6 minus 9. Now, we know 9 is larger than 6, so we would carry the sign of the 9, which would be negative. And we know when we subtract 9 and 6, that will give us 3. So our final answer here is a negative 3. Now we come to 14. It says calculate. Now this is all multiplication, so we count how many negative signs we have. we have 4 negative signs. So negative times a negative is a positive, times a negative is a negative, times a negative is a positive. So remember, when we have an even amount of negatives, our answer is positive. So now we multiply. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 times 4 is 48. And 48 times 2 is a positive 96. Now, if you want to see that, we know 6 and 2 is 12. We could do 12 times 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And 4 times 1 is 4. And then we have to multiply by that last 2. 2 times 8 is 16. Carry a 1. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So it's 96, as I have indicated here. Now we scroll down here. Now we come to the partial credit section. The other section that we just did, you would not get partial credit for. It to be right or wrong. With these type of problems, will get you partial credit. So it says 15, calculate. We have 16 minus 2, and then parenthesis 5 minus 3. Now we look here, our operations are subtraction, multiplication, parentheses, and the exponent. We know we do the parentheses first. So it'll be 6 minus 2, 5 minus 3 is 2, and that's cubed. So now we have subtraction, multiplication, and the exponent, as there's nothing more we could do with this parenthesis. So we take this parenthesis here, because we do exponents next. Parenthesis 2 cubed, we know that's the same as 2 multiplied by itself 3 times, which will give us 8. Now we're left with subtraction and multiplication. So we'll bring down our 6. This minus 2 times a positive 8 will give us minus 16. 6 minus 16, we know we will subtract. 6 and 16 will give us 10 when we subtract. And we'll carry the sign of the larger number, which is 16. So this will be negative 10. Now we come to 16 here. Now we're going to do the numerator and denominator of this fraction separately. So we'll do the top first. We have multiplication, exponent, addition. Now, we know we would do the exponent first. Parenthesis negative 2 squared would be parenthesis negative 2 times parenthesis negative 2, which is positive 4. So it'd be 3 times 4 plus 3 all over 9 minus 2 times 7. Now we have multiplication and addition. And addition, we do the multiplication. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 3 all over 9 minus 2 times 7. 12 plus 3 we know is 15 all over 9 minus 2 times 7. Now in our denominator, we have subtraction and multiplication. We do the multiplication first. So we add 9. A minus 2 times 7 will give us minus 14. And we add 15. 9 minus 14. We know we're going to end up with 5. But the sign that we would take is in front of the 14, which would be negative. Now we know a positive 15 divided by a negative 5 will give us a negative 3. And that is our answer. Now we come down here to problem 17. Now we have the exponent, addition, division, and multiplication. We know we do the exponent first. Now remember, only this 4 is squared, not the negative. So 4 squared is 16, but we have to write the negative in front of it. So it's negative 16 plus 18 divided by 2 times negative 3. Now we have addition, division, and multiplication. We do the division. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Now we have addition and multiplication. 9 times a negative 3, we know a positive times a negative is a negative. So this would be negative 16 minus 27. Now both of these are like terms. So we will add them together. 16 and 27 is 43. And we will carry the sign. So your final answer here is a negative 43.